Hey, sorry, I had to restart here because I did a mistake before. So let's see if this one is going to work. I'm going to try. Okay, so I have to. Okay. Hello, so I see one user. I'm sorry about that. I made my OBS didn't restart and I had something on the screen that I don't want there. There's no big deal, but I prefer to be clean. So hopefully there's one user here, and today we're going to talk about the Rust web app. So I'm sorry for anybody that is watching that out of live, because you might want to forward a little bit until we start the session, because I had to restart the video here. So I want to make sure that the viewers are here. And there's one more update I want to give. Okay, feel free to tell me if you see myself here to say hi. I want to make sure that I have users before we start. Okay. Hey, David, I'm sorry about this. I had a wrong screen here. So I'm trying to put at least 2 users. Hopefully I didn't mess up everybody. And there's one more thing I want to do is I'm going to edit this. I need to update the thumbnail. Okay. So I think you have only you here. I might have messed up the stream here. So anyway, we're going to start working today on the Rust web app. And so as I was saying, feel free to ask me questions if you want me to do something else that I'm going to do, my plan today is to implement the multi-org in the Rust web app. So this is where we have the SQL over there. And then I'm going to try to have the the multi-org the way that I like to have it. Yeah. So that is a goal. So you might be the only one here that is there to be able to follow my link here. So hopefully I might do a catch-up session tomorrow. So the thing is, let me see if there's anything in the... No, I think it's good. Just checking if... Today we're going to learn about the types... Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so we'll see here. You are the only one, so it might be a thing. So I hope I didn't mess up other people. So anyway, so the goal here of today is going to be multi-org. Yeah. So one of the things I'm doing, so hopefully it's not too small. This one is maybe a little bit too big for me. Let me know if it's too small. Question for later, currently the web app. This is actually a good question. Question, currently the web app uses F64 as numeric data type, which align with float in Postgres, in contrast to numeric in Postgres. Floats appear may end up being precise. That's fair enough. Have you come across this topic and things? So the F64, where do I use F64? So first of all the IDs are big int. So I make sure that I don't use F64. I mean, here I am on the SQL here, but those guys are making sure that it's not F64. So either bing it or, like right now, I don't even store numbers. And then F64. Generate token. I don't think we have that much F64 in the database. So I'm using the duration here in F64, which is true for the duration. It allows me to have second and then millisecond, and then usually I try to have, I think here I round them into 3.3 milliseconds. So that is for the duration, but otherwise I don't have much F64. Yeah. So typically I try to save in big int when it's possible, and then other numbers when it's not. Yeah. So that is my two things that I like to do. But you agree? I agree with you. If I need to store a number, usually it would be F64. I don't think I'm using F32, and then otherwise typically is enough for me to store F64. I haven't run into that, but if you do, I think there's a solution like that. In ModQL, yes, you're right. Yeah, well, in ModQL, I do need to support F64 because if the user wants to support F64, if there is another type which is better, more database friendly, that might be a good input to have it in ModQL. So that is a good one. Yeah, that is good. Now, let me do this. And so what I want to do today is do this multi-org. So we already created the database. It's already worked. So it works in the meaning that I create the org, but I don't have yet the org everywhere else. Now, the way that I like to do org, except for users, is when I have a multi-tenant, everything is going to be scoped by the org ID. That is a way. Today, I'm using this kind of ID, which is a big int. There will be kind of an argument to say, hey, you know, we could use UUIDs. And in this case, we will need to use UUID v7. The trick is, I think that Postgres doesn't support natively yet UUID v7, so you need to install another extension or something like that. So that adds a little bit of complexity. And then you can do it on the Rust side, but then after I kind of change a little bit the things, because every time you want to create something, you either need to pre-generate the UUID v7, or you need to generate it from Rust, which then it's kind of create its own problem. So that is a trick. So the thing here is that what we're going to do is we're going to add the org, and the thing that I want is to add it everywhere in all of the tables. Yeah. So agent will have org ID, and everybody will have org ID, except sometimes the many-to-many, I don't have it, but conversation will have org ID, and then all of these guys will have org ID also. Conversation user, so that is one thing, when it's a many-to-many, sometimes I don't put org ID there, because anyway, I don't return the many-to-many typically. And then the conv message, in this case, I will return that to the user. So I will have, even if it could be seen as a many-to-many, I will have the thing here. And this one is not, yeah. So that is the thing. So we're going to add org ID to all of that. And the reason why I'm doing that in production is that I'm trying to have this org that is another layer of security, such as when you ask a data, you always ask it for an org. So I'm trying to limit as much possible the APIs that are cross orgs. And so all of the APIs, and typically the cross orgs APIs, will have even another RPC endpoint, because I want to segregate it. And it's the thing, I don't want to have too much of them. And then most of the API to create conversation, to add anything, is always scoped to an org. And sometimes I even put the org as the URL parameter. Yeah. And so in a parameter, sorry, not in the parameter, in the path. So I have API / org ID / RPC, and that's it. And if I do a V1, I put it after API perhaps, or something like that. So this way I scope everything by org, and then my API, my ACS later, which is going to be today, we don't have that yet, but that will be the access control system. It will have another layer of security, which is when for all of the API or all of the model calls that are per org, we'll have the org in the CTX. And then, so in the CTX, we'll have org, and then it will only allow data to come back if the org of the CTX match the org of the item. And if you do that, it looks to be an extra layer. And again, this is not the full authorization. It's more kind of an extra validation to make sure that an API to an org cannot get data from another org. So this is super important when you do enterprise application, because the last thing you want to do, because that could be almost a game over, the last thing that you want to do is to have an API that return the data of another, from an org of another org. Because that is like, you know, good luck to recover that from the clients. Yeah. You can, but it's super tricky. So that is one thing that we want to build into our API. And if you have that, it's very nice, because only these things get 99% if it's not all of them. Yeah. So it's an extra layer. So that is the reason why I like to put org ID everywhere. And in fact, even in the S3, when I'm structuring my things in the S3, I also structure in a way that is going to be everything is by org. Yeah, so an org will have a UUID, and that if it's an org UUID that is used not for indexing, I can use UUID v4. Is when you're indexing, you want v7 because you index better. v4 is kind of bad at indexing, but it's good at entropy, so it's very unique in a way. So the UUID v4 can be used in an S3 path, such as you all have your data always per org. So this is what you always want. You don't want to have flat and then all the org messed up. Yeah. So that is very important for enterprise application. So the org, when you need to have a multi-tenant architecture, is very critical to your things. So with that, we are going to set up our system. So here I'm going to go to the README. So the way I will do it is like that. I'm going to run my database in Docker. So I don't know if I have Docker yet. Okay, my Docker started. And I think I can do a terminal. Let me do this one. It's a better terminal here. And then I'm going to copy paste this one. So that starts the database on the side. So usually I put that and I put it there and I forget about it. Then if I wanted to check my database, I will do that, but I don't really at this point. And then I will start the server like that. So I'm going to start like that, my cargo watch. Sometimes I can use Beacon. I still use either Beacon or cargo watch and I go back and forth. So now I have this kind of server working, and it means that it created the database. So if I go back there, and I'm going to save. So the way that I like to do things is to make sure that I can save. So if I go to my services, web server, I think I can go anywhere, press save, it's going to restart the server. So everything is going to be created here in the database. So now what I can do is, if I break it, so sometimes I like to break things. So if I break it, I always do that, by the way. So that should break it. So I press save, and that will break, which is good. So again, sometimes I'm wasting time because I'm trying to debug something, and in fact, it was not taking this file for whatever reason. So here I know that this file is taken. So I save it, come back here, press save, and then boom, it runs it. So now I'm happy. So what I'm going to do here is I have this org ID business, and I want to add the org ID to all of my entities. So usually, typically, what I do is I always start with a database. What I don't like to do is use ORM to create my database and everything. So typically what I have is I have this one for the dev initial, and then somewhere I will have the upgrade. And that is where I have what people call the migration. And then inside upgrade, I will have drop. So I like to work on drop. So a drop is something that I deploy, basically. So drop 12. Okay, 00 is for the patch, eventual patch. Usually I don't have patches. And then I will have something like 01 and add, I don't know, level to model. That doesn't mean anything, but whatever. So I will do the alter table in this kind of file, and that will be my migration. And so in development, what I do is I run those files one by one when I do the drop 12, and then I can erase it for the next drop because I don't need them anymore, because what I do in production is I capture the schema of the production. So that model works well when you know that you have a cloud application, and therefore there is only one source of truth, which is what is in production. Everything else is either past or future, but it's not truth. So the trick here, the way that I do it is production is job 011, for example. And so now I have all the 12 guys here. And then after I have a script, and I have a pod actually that updates the database. It does a snapshot of the database, put it in an S3 production, do the migration of the database, do another snapshot of the database, put it in the production S3, and then does a schema capture of the database and put it in the dev S3. Such as when dev goes, rather to run those files, I will run the script will download the schema base from the dev S3. And so like that, I'm always working from a delta out of production, because that is the only thing that matters. And there's one theme in all my production coding here that I've done for 10 years. It's the most important thing is every time you design something, migration, deployment, Kubernetes, anything, is how can I maximize the proximity between your production environment and your development environment. If you have all of the migration files since the beginning of time that you run in your dev, but you obviously don't run in production because you only run the last guys, well, that's not very, the proximity is not low or high. I don't know how we call it, but it's not very close. So the trick here is to say, well, how can I have my dev environment as close as my prod? And the way you do that is you capture the prod schema, and that is your starting point of your n+1 on your dev. So that is basically the process that I have. So I hope this makes sense. And so we're not going to do the migration right now, but what I want to do is add the big int bigness in the table. Right now, I'm going to add it in a way because I don't want to break everything because our seed is not done yet, but I'm going to add it as possible of new. I'm sorry, that it can be new. Now, one thing I'm going to build this sample app is, and you have two ways of building your app, is a user can belong only to one tenant, to one organization, or a user can belong to multiple tenants. In this one, I'm going to do the second one. So a user can belong to multiple tenants. So that will be the goal. The thing is, if you go to user here, and so I'm not going to touch the user right now because I will add a table later and I don't have to do everything. And here I just do that because I was lazy. Org ID. And probably I need to normalize all of that uppercase. So, and the strategy here is uppercase when it doesn't belong to me and, you know, lowercase when it belongs to me, kind of. And so I had that on the agent. I want that in conversation. It's not really a foreign key per se. And eventually it will be not null again, but I think conversation user, I think I will have, I don't have that for now. So I'm going to add a note. Note for now, no org added needed because many too many. And the reason why I add a note here is because if I go down to my conversation message, I'm going to put it there. And then this one looks like a many-to-many, but it's not. Yeah, because it's really the message that happened to belong to a conversation. And so that is the way it's named. So I haven't found a solution yet. Sometimes the underscore means it's a link between the two guys. And then sometimes the underscore means it's just an object of a certain type. So that is a conversation message. I think what I'm going to do later, not today, but I will change a thing like this, that any user relationship to something will start with a user first as a name. And I think that will make the things much more readable, I think. But I don't have to change it now. I don't want to break things now. So org ID over there, so that's conversation message. And then that's it. Now, what we're going to do, and I'm going to work a lot here, so it's very cool here, and I'm sorry here, I don't know who is a second viewer here. I'm sorry I had to change the stream today. But the thing I'm going to work a lot here this year on this Rust web app, because we're actually helping a client to use his blueprint to build something. And then I also want to use that blueprint to build my briceno.com application that will allow my clients to see the architectures that I did for them and to even ask questions with LLM, with AI, to the knowledge that I will have uploaded. So it's going to be pretty cool. So I really I'm going to grow these apps because now it's 2025 is going to be the year where I'm going to put that in production. And so there's going to be a lot of things because everything is going to become Kubernetes driven with a whole multi-service architecture. Yeah. So I need to make sure here, I don't know why I have that so big, sorry guys. Actually I can do that. Like this, so like this we can see the chat and everything. So we have that, and so I'm going to press save, and now I go back to my source over there, whatever source, it doesn't matter. I press save. The only thing I'm looking here is that it doesn't kaboom, and it doesn't kaboom, so that's good. So now I have that, I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm going to start writing the seed over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert into org. And I think in org we have nothing, we just have a name. Name. I'm not sure I should put interesting. I'm going to explain why. So, going to explain the thing here is going on. So the trick here is, so first of all, in all of the tables, I like to have this. Yeah. So creator ID, seed time, modifier ID, end time. So that is not for history, because obviously you don't store history, it's just a creation and the last modification time and user. But that adds a lot of value without having the whole history for every table, which is often not really needed anyway. So that is a good default to have for every table. Now, that means that the CID is not null. That is a way that I like to have. Sometimes it's not possible. And in this case, you say, well, you know, it's the system that created it, is basically it's null. Yeah. The strategies that I have done in this current code base, and that can change over time. So for example, for some of the clients, sometimes the people that create an entity is not a user, is an API. So we could abstract it there, or we can have it null. So it depends on the things. But the point is that right now, I have this root user, the sys system user, which is the ID 0. So this is why I have this ID 0 kind of business, because it's a special one. Typically, when I create some things in the database for demo, I start at 100. So sometime when I create the tables over there, I don't know. Yeah, I start, okay, I'm sorry. So here's a little trick. This is a production trick. I'm not saying this is like game changer stuff. But for all of my tables, I create the ID. It's a big int generated by default as identity. Apparently, that is a new thing in Postgres. But then I do a start with 1000. So the reason why I do that, and this is optional, yeah, I'm just explaining, is because now I know in the database that everything which is above 1000 has been created the normal way, in a way, okay? It's not a test user, it's not a demo, it's not one of the things that I've been doing. It's something that runs through the API in a way. So in the API, I never put the ID. There's no way to put ID on insert. Now, when I do the seed, this is where I have control of the ID business. So I told myself, I say, for now, the user 0 is the system admin user, and that will be created all the time. And then I have the demo 1 here, the org 1, which is going to be the demo 1 org. And that allows me to grow up to 1,000. I could put the limit 100. It doesn't really matter. But that is my way of doing things. And so that is the same thing here. I'm going to insert here user. And in fact, here, you see, I've inserted the user. But to be honest, I should do 10. Okay, so now in my head, from a production context standpoint, I'm saying, hey, when it's 0 or below 10 or whatever, it's a special guys, you know, and that could be, for example, that could be the system org, and you might want to have that. That could be okay. Or you can say, well, I have this one here, the 100, and I'm going to say demo org. 100. So I'm going to make a stuff, or demo org 1. Okay. And then we have the demo 1 user. And so we can do that. Org, demo 1 users, and then this one is, you know, whatever. Demo 1 agent. Okay. So it's kind of a little bit boring, but that allows me to kind of see what I have. And now it's consistent. When it starts at 100 is my own home cooking stuff. And then anything that starts at 1,000 is going to be things that go through the API. That is the way I like it, usually. It's completely optional here. This is very worth splitting here. So back here, press save to make sure everything works well. It does not. And devdb unwrap. So there's two problems here on this one. One is something is weird that I don't even know. And two, the error message here is not, I'm not happy with this error message because it doesn't show the at least the entity or something like that. So if I go back here, is a demo 1. First by username. Oh yeah, fair enough. Demo 1 user. So this one is easy. So why you are so cryptic? So I'm going to explain a little bit what goes through my head. A couple of things is, and that is just me, you know, for production stuff. Sometime when I do a first by username, it might come from the UI. And sometime, at least I've done that, I put password, I mess up in the username. So I don't want to capture, and the error that is sent by the nature of the system will always probably capture the error in the log line because we want to be able to debug it. Here was a print. So this is why often I don't print for username and password, obviously, the error to say, hey, this was a wrong password or wrong username because it's a sensitive data. Now, what I should be doing is at least saying that is for users, because right now the error is so cryptic of unknown. But then, do I have an unwrap? That would be interesting. I hate unwrap. Oh, wow. Oh, I have unwrap. Okay. Okay. So that might not be as bad. I have the unwrap because this is a dev DB. So I don't really care that much because I know that I will debug it. This is the reason why. Now, we're going to keep this guy like that. And I'm going to go like that. Does that compile? No, it doesn't compile anymore. What is the error over there? Oh, I might have to do two like this. No. So I might do a map here. So if I do this, so I'm going to do, that is a cool thing. So I'm doing this, option of user. Okay, that's fine. And then I do, okay, or I'm going to be user demo 1, not found. Okay, so I'm going to explain here. So there's quite a bit of information actually in this session. I'm never sure if I should do live coding or more like something more scripted. But I think this live coding is pretty cool because I'm going to explain you. First is my strategy is when I have a first by username, when I have the first one, it will return an option. So it's return a result of an option because if something is wrong somewhere, the database is not there or whatever, but the return value is an option. If I had, and I don't have it, but if I had a get by username, I don't think I have this guy, but if I had a get by username, my convention is to say that now if it's not found, it will return item not found. In this API, I wanted to have a first by username because it's not really an error because you are just doing it's kind of a list which could be empty. So this is why I have that. And so that is why I couldn't do the 2 question mark over there because the result is an option. So now I need to turn it into an exception. I mean, an error. And because it's boxed in over there, I can return just a static string, and that's fine. So that is the way that works, and that is the reason thing. So now if I do this, I should be something a little bit better. User demo 1, not found. Okay, so my error system kind of works relatively well. And then I'm going to fix it like that. Okay. So now that is pretty good. So we have that, and we created and we update the password. The reason why we update the password over there and we don't put it in the seed is because if we were going to put in the seed, we will put kind of a hard-coded value because it has to be computed on the Rust side. So in a way, I say, since I have DevDB anyway and all these utilities, I'm going to update the user like that. So that works pretty well. So now that we have that, we have our org everywhere. But we didn't add the org, okay? And so now we're going to do org ID. That will be the 100. And then we're going to do the org ID as well over there. And that will be the 100. And then we'll do our org ID over there. Sorry, that's silly. And that, I'm sorry. This is annoying when when people see the mistakes on the live and I do silly stuff. Okay. So now if I do that, this should be okay. And then I'm going to press save on whatever. That will restart it. And everything is okay. So I created a database here and everything, but obviously I don't have the conversation. I don't have all these kind of things. So now the next step here, and if you have a question, feel free to ask. Yeah. So now the next step is I'm going to check if my APIs still work. Today, the way that I do it, and it's going to change over time, is I have my quick dev, which is kind of, and it's a bad practice. I'm not saying we should do that. But right now, this is where I have all of the things here. So I have the login that tests actually that the login works. And then with the CTX, I keep the cookie here, and then I do the post here to create an agent. I get the agent, I create a conversation, and I create a conversation message, and then I log off. So this one is kind of quick dev, but it's kind of a quick test in a way, or a sanity check, and check that the whole flow works. So I like these things because it allows me to do quite a bit of work like that. And then eventually I need to put that in integration test somewhere. And then on the integration test, for me, it's okay to have the server working on localhost 8080. There's different strategy, but for me, it will be okay. And then when I am on Kubernetes, all of this will always work in a Kubernetes environment, meaning in a pod, meaning in a Docker or a container image. So that will be the strategy. Right now, I'm running with Cargo. And so this is a reason why, for example, here we are using this trick here, which is a cargo.cargo and config to ML. And so Cargo has pretty cool stuff. So when you run cargo write is a cargo run, then it will load this config to ML. And inside this config to ML, you can have this here, your environment variable. This is like super cool. And in fact, all of these guys will be moved to Kubernetes secret / config map. Yeah, so that will be the goal. So right now I'm using the container, which is Cargo, to kind of set the environment variable. And then later, Kubernetes will be my container. I typically do not do live .env. And so, and I'm not sure if that is part of the pattern of .env, but there's something I don't really like is, and I think it's an anti-pattern, is you load a file and you set your environment variable. I think you don't want to do that. It's created a lot of side effects and everything. Might be some time, might be needed. I might do it one day just to kind of work around something. But typically I like to have the container setting up these environment variables. And then when I run my binary, it just get it and assume it's there. And if it's not, then it handle it. So that is the thing. That doesn't mean that all configuration come from an environment variable. Yeah, there might be an environment variable to say, hey, go and get your configuration variable, your deep configuration from a file or from an S3, or it's already on disk, is here. It's fine. That is okay. But from environment variable, which is usually this kind of things, I think it's a good idea to have them set by the container. So that is a strategy. So now the thing that we have is we have this guy, and I'm going to do, so I have it on README. I'm going to do this. So on Windows, in one of my tutorials, I think it was the Axum one that I need to redo, I was doing a cargo watch and it was a test. The problem on Windows is when you do a test and a run, somehow you kind of deadlock each other. When it's example, it works. So, and anyway, in this case, it's more kind of an example than something else. So I'm going to run it like that. And then if I have, this doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all. Okay. That is a little bit unfortunate. Oh, hey, actually it works pretty well. The reason is, this works actually very well. Sorry, being slow here, navigating the stuff. Quick dev. And the reason is because of wrong username. Demo1, user, press save. And then I need, press save in the example. So the way I have the cargo watch is, if you press save on the example, just run the example, press save on the server, reload the server. So if you change the server, you need to press save on the server, a file on the server, and save on the example. And now I have everything that works very well. And if I go there, sorry, now I get everything. So I get my successful, I create my agents and everything. Now you see that in the agent. So here, what do we get? We get the agent, I think. Okay, so in my post here, okay, there's a trick here, but so in this one here, I return the agent here, and we see that there is no org ID. That will be my second step here to make sure that we get the org ID from the database. Makes sense? We have no org ID every time we add stuff. We have no org ID, which is normal because where that comes from is, and I think we can go to agent here over there, and then we can do the agent. So the way that I'm going to just put it like that. Four and that, and we're going to, we're going to put option of things, because right now it can be null and might be null when we create it because we didn't put it. So we're going to make option first, and then after we'll do the stuff. So we press save on this one. That should restart the server, and then we go back to our example. We don't need that. We don't need that. And then we go back to our quick dev, press save on this guy. And then that is org ID. Cool. Org ID null. Yes, because in this case, I think we created the agent. So we are just returning the agent that we created. So the org ID is null. Okay, so that is thing, and that's not the agent. So this one was the agent. And then this one was not the agent. There's something in my HTTPC here is when I log, I don't log what I sent. So I need to make sure, I need to find a way here to post something, but have the RPC methods name, because here we don't know what I'm sending. So it's a little bit tricky. Okay. So now this is working pretty nice. And sometime for some objects, the agent ones, we have the org ID. And this one, we have the org ID here. So this one, the first one after the login, or the second one. The first one. Okay, so we do the login. We create our agent and we get the agent we created. If we were going to list the agents, then we'll get the agent with the thing. So we could add that. But for now, we're going to do like that. So now the good question of that is to say, well, how do I get the how do I get the org ID? And so we have two different choices here where, again, we can do it. And that is a way. One is we can do it at the path level, where we can do it like this. We do a V1. We do a not login. Let's not confuse. We're going to say right now, the user has access to any org. So we do the org like this, and we're going to say API RPC, and we're going to have org, and then the ID 1. So in our case, it will be 100. So we can do like this, or we can do like that. Yeah, it doesn't matter, or like that. And then we parse it, and then we'll take it. And we can do a V1 here if we want. Okay? So the nice things about this approach, again, and it looks a little bit off. I understand some people, it doesn't look conventional, but the amazing thing about this approach is that when you get this URL, you know that you will get only object back that is 100, because you have this two level of security that we have. So one is get the access control. We'll talk about that with the permission and everything. And then there's going to be another check, which is going to list all of the objects that is returned. And we say, what is your org ID and stuff? And if it's not 100, kaboom. So this way here, it's much more robust. The trick of that is that we need to change the way we handle the request that goes in, because now we need to basically have a star here. And so we need to take that, parse this, and then if stuff. And in fact, I'm sorry, I'm going to do like something like this. It's going to be org 100. So we'll do the star here. So like this, it will be cleaner to do the routing. Yeah, it will fit better. So we'll do this things like this, where we'll say org/100 and stuff. And then if we want to have multi-orgs, things sometimes is useful. Yeah, you have a user come in and you want to say, hey, do I have any work or any to-dos in other orgs? Yeah, so you want to have this little drop down somewhere and things. Usually the way I like to do that for enterprise application is this API won't give any personal information or any org information per se. It's more like, hey, you have 5 items there, or something like low information, but useful information. So low information density, but high information value, if that makes sense. Such as you know that you have a message to be checked over there. And then you change your org, and then when you change your org, then you see everything, obviously, because then you will be on this stuff. So you will have an RPC like that, orgs, and then an RPC like that with the org. So that is what we need to do. Now, the trick in my head is to say, well, you know, it's annoying because now I have to change a bit the way I'm doing things. And the cheap way could be something like that. Org ID. And that will be a cheap way. Okay, and then I will have the 100. And in this case, I don't need that. The problem is now I'm polluting all of the data. Because, okay, I'm going to explain something. Because I don't want my data, my agent and everything, to take the org ID like that. Yeah, this is a bad thing, is when I call the org ID 100, then it will decide that is org ID 100. It's not the APIs that say, oh, my data, because agent has org ID, let me set the org ID. You can do that, will work, yeah. If I change the fork rate and stuff, that will work. But I don't want it to work because that is not secure, because now I can talk to any org and set value on any orgs. So good luck, yeah, for on the bug side. So the thing I prefer to do is something like that, where I would say, well, and this is the reason why I had the data here, because at the root here, I can have what I call the meta. And I could say, well, that is a meta value for now that I could add to the beast. such as I know which org to add. And then the system is going to take that value and set it to the data. Now, honestly, the thing I prefer is to do it this way. Okay, and then this way when we create the CTX, we'll extract the 100, and then we'll put that in the CTX. So we're not going to do it in this session. What I'm going to do is, because I messed up today, it's on me with my little thing here. I'm going to create a new session tomorrow at noon Pacific time as well. The same things, and we are going to continue that. So this week we'll have two. Yeah, so in a way it's a win-win for everybody. So we'll do that tomorrow. I will schedule something at noon. I think I have time at noon Pacific for 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. And then we will update the API to look something like that. Okay, so that is going to be the plan. If you have any questions, feel free to ask right now. This is a good time. Anything you want to talk, or if you don't want to talk about that tomorrow, or any feedback, by the way, about this live stream, what can be better, what can be better said, feel free to send me either a message in the comment, or if you want, at jeremy.sean@gmail.com. More than happy, send me and say, hey, this was good, but that could be better. Always happy to get feedback. So that is the thing that we're going to do. I'm going to leave it like that because right now I don't want to break things. I'm making sure that that works well. And then I'm going to go there and check that everything works nicely. So everything works nicely right now. Okay, so this is what I want to do. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to check the quick dev that is not haywire. Makes sense. The SQL schema, checking his stuff and say, okay, that's good. The dev seed is good. The DB, yeah, this guy. And then this guy here, which is the first pass. So what I'm going to do now is git log stuff. And I have two ways of doing it. Is either I create a branch, which I think I'm going to do it. And so I'm going to do a git. I have a switch create. So I always have aliases. And I'm going to do create nx because I like to say next, and org. Good enough. Okay. And git c, which is git commit -a -m. And I'm going to do a dot. No, I'm going to do a tilde, because tilde in my world, it means, work in progress kind of things. And I say model the first pass at org. Okay. And one of the things that I might do, so I'm not going to push it right now to the repo. Tomorrow, I'm going to do the follow-up of that, such as we can do the next step. And then eventually, perhaps the things would get squashed. So I'm trying to have the commits that goes to the main branch, or sometimes we have main, which is gold, which is what goes to production, which has been published to production, and dev is the n+1 or the n+n or n+m or whatever we want to call it. And so, but this one, I'm going to merge it to main right now. And that will go to main tomorrow when I'm going to add, and I will squash kind of tickets together. So that is a trick. So a good question here is, thanks, Roberto. I'm sorry about today. I messed up. I'm going to delete the first stream. It was no big deal because there were no critical information, but I shared something I didn't want to share. And then since I want this live stream to be archived for all of you guys, I didn't want to have a bad screen over there. So that's why I had to change last minute. So the good news is tomorrow I take it on me. We have the follow-up session here on this one at noon. You can watch it live or it will be archived as well. And also I'm starting to do, so I think I'm going to do this strategy here. And again, send me feedback or whatever, always welcome. I'm doing this kind of scheduled live stream with you guys. I poll you to know what topic you want to talk about, and we talk about this and stuff. So these sessions are really custom for the live stream members, and it's more about what you want to talk about more than what I want to talk about. Then I also started to do live streams, and you can see them. I put them in a playlist. There's a playlist live stream things that I can put somewhere, but you see them right now. They're unlisted, but you should see them in the playlist of live stream members. And those will become live stream only. So I put them unlisted or public for a little while, and then they become for you guys only. Yeah, so that's my strategy. Schedule, highly targeted to what you need. Those will be live stream only to members only, start to beginning. And then the things that I need to do, like yesterday, I did a couple of things, which is pretty cool. I did one live session about adding DeepSeek on Olama for GenAI. And then I did another one about Rust and SQLite. So it's a video I'm planning. And so I say, well, I'm going to do the live anyway. I do the live. It's open to everybody. And then it's unlisted, or it might be public for everybody for a little while, and then it will be archived only for you guys. So Roberto and David, I really, really appreciate you being here. You are really the first guys here that, and there's few users here that are members of the live stream. Really appreciate. So I want to really tailor this kind of live stream to you guys. Question here that you had. Quick question. How do you build tables from file metadata? Okay, that I don't understand, David. I'm not building tables from file metadata. This is not a thing for me. Yeah, for me is the schema is always something that I own there. The difference between early dev and not early dev is that in early dev, the schema is a throwaway. So I iterate very fast. So I don't have migration at the beginning. I don't need it because every time I scratch it. Now, as soon as the things kind of hit something where I need to upgrade the data, where people for demo reason, because you are closing around or you want something to start having people using it, even if it's behind the scene or whatever, then you need to update the database. And then you move to the other stage, which is not dev initial, but it's more dev normal. And that is you capture the schemas that you have in production, and every migration is a job SQL numbered that you apply for this specific job. And every time you update production, you take a new snapshot, you delete the old jobs because they're on Git anyway, so they're not lost. But you delete them, they don't need to be replayed because the base is always what has been deployed in production. So that is a way. And so for me, and there's many ways to skin the cat, but for me, schema is a thing that I want full control of, and I don't want a tool to manage it for me. I am the one doing the create update, the alter tables and everything. And it's something I take time, and it's fine to be slow when I do that because I really want to think it through. Okay? So for example, if I didn't have org, usually I always have org ID, I will do another file here. So I will have my base files. I will do a job SQL. I will do it like this first, which is not new. Then after I will add new. And then I have one file at the end that I commit that will get deployed. And that is what will get run against the database. So I own my schema. I don't derive the schema from my objects. And so that's why my approach is not to be ORM, is I like CQuery, which is more a SQL builder. It's a little bit overtyped sometimes for my taste, but it's good for now. And for me, an object in Rust is not the exhaustive representation of the table in the database. And I think that is the thing, is if you want to have an ORM only kind of approach, then you have to have your data object in your language of choice. Could be JavaScript, could be TypeScript, could be Java, could be Rust, could be Go or whatever. But you have to have this object now being the holistic view of this table. And like for my experience, that doesn't work because sometimes you have data that is not even the matter of the UI, of the object. It's maybe bookkeeping stuff, database stuff, yeah? Or things that get deprecated that you still want there because you don't want to remove the data, but you don't need to access it anymore. So you're like deprecating the column. Sometimes when we deprecate column, we actually write, if we are going to deprecate a model, for example, we write it like this, we say deprecated. Once all the code has been changed and is not anymore in our Rust and nobody is asking for it, we actually don't remove it sometime. We just put deprecated below. And that stays in the database for a while, for a year. And then once we don't need it, we fully delete it. But in a way, we still have this data, such as I hate to lose data. Yeah? So that is a little bit my approach in production. I'm very, I'm over paranoid with database. Database is gold. Everything is transient in a way. I don't want to be, and that's probably because of my Oracle days, I don't know. But that is the way I see stuff. So anyway, we'll do a new one tomorrow. Feedback, more than welcome. I see that there's a third user, might be Roberto. And thanks a lot for coming. Sorry for today for the mishap. And then we'll do another one tomorrow to compensate today. So until next one, happy coding. And I'm probably going to do more live today. Perhaps, I don't know, because I do some live about Rust and SQLite and all these kind of things and so on. So with that, until next one, happy coding.